10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Queen of Pain. 10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time.
Gyrocopter!
Dusk.
Bounty hunter.
Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time. Invictus Gaming's turn to ban. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time.
Rubik.
10 seconds remaining.
The sack.
Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining.
Alchemist.
Ghost Knight.
Invictus Gaming's turn to ban. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time.
Oh.
10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Ten seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Prepare for battle.
Thank you very much. Yes, I'm Toby Warner here with the wonderful Blitzdota to bring our third series of the day, VP up against IG. It seems the panel is pretty heavily in favor of VP, apart from Nahaz, who threw his hat into the IG bucket.
I mean, Cap is naturally going to be a little bit biased towards VP because VP's captain, FNG, is like the only person that actually likes Cap as a caster, so it's one of those things where you've got that bond straight away. Was that a little too harsh? I got so many.
That is just a certain revenge right there for all the Storm Spirit jokes he was
great,
cracking earlier.
real original, great stuff.
Yeah. Come on, sometimes the classics are the best, man. Personally, I really like the IG draft. I like their combination of team fight. I like their way to work. Would be very concerned if I was an IG fan about what VP can offer, because they've also got a lot of control, a lot of momentum they can gain behind their lineup.
I guess the big thing for me is that IG, you've got a gyrocopter who isn't the best at hitting the egg, for example.
Yeah.
You don't really want him to be in that melee range because if he does get hit by the egg, then it's really he's quite vulnerable. You've got Dazzle who is also a positional carry or a positional hero. And then you've got an Alchemist, like, yeah, he attacks kind of fast, but it's not like it's really going to matter because he's probably going to go for the build where he goes to the Solar Crest. That seems to be really popular in Europe. I'm not quite sure what Ferrari's going to go for this game. Like, maybe the mech is okay here. I know he was one of the people that I really saw use mech, him and Super, over on Vici Gaming, so we'll see what he decides to go.
Well, right now for Ferrari, they're actually using Chuan as the courier, so he's bringing the bottle out to him at least, going for that Elder Greevil's Greed. I'm interested to see also how Alchemist builds his skills. Like, do you want to go for that high level up in Acid Spray? It did get buffed up. Do you use that to try and zone out God at least?
Yeah, you definitely do. You only need this early level of the Greevil's Grade just for the Bounty Rune. There's no reason not to get it as a result. Going for the stun against G is probably not going to work, even with the Bounty Hunter on his team, or with the Bounty Hunter on the other team. He's going to get harassed a lot. You're not going to have a lot of aggressive opportunities. Like, you've got this Rubik lift, but Rubik is a support that doesn't actually add any damage, so it's better to just go for this purely defensive build where you're trading out farm as much as you possibly can, and he's having a pretty rough go of it right now. The Alchemist is kind of ridiculous with that Bounty Rune, so even though he doesn't have a single last hit, he's still ahead in net worth.
Which shouldn't happen until now he finally gets the 2, but God takes so much damage by being underneath that Acid Spray. It's like he kind of needs to, because Ferrari is just going to keep throwing down that Acid Spray, burning away his life, and then eventually finding last hits and getting the extra cash for it. And if there is even a chance that Chuan can get a couple of stacks up, then Ferrari gets even more money coming into him. And this is the mid laner we're talking about. We still have to keep in mind that Rabbit's running this gyro on the safe lane, just farming up.
Yeah, this safe lane should be okay. The off laner should get a little bit just because I think VP is one of those, or IG is one of those teams that are going to really focus on being able to help out their mid laner. Like, this Rubik is sitting mid, making sure that the Bounty Hunter's not doing anything. He helped ferry the Alchemist's bottle just to make sure that there was no shenanigans with the Bounty Hunter, and especially with this Suntree war that's happening right now. Tuan might think of just dropping one down, eating it. But do they actually still have one more Sentry? No, it doesn't look like it. So this should be the last one available. And I think this will tell the Bounty Hunter, like, okay, I don't really have to camp here for so long. I can go do other things like check the runes, check where everything is. And he still has 2 wards on him that he hasn't placed at all.
That's actually really unusual. Like, you're this far in, and IG already did their counter warding. Like, they put sentries down to try and find that block ward, but they place it down now almost 3 minutes into the game to get the high ground vision in the mid lane play.
I think they wanted to make sure that they weren't going to get dewarded, and just to make sure that if they had to have a ward for the Ancients, that it'd be readily available. And they know that the Ancients aren't being stacked up for Ferrari, so he's not going to use it necessarily to block out any camps or anything like that, but I think that's the reasoning behind it. And you don't really need it for a Phoenix, right? He's always going to have the dive available, and he should see the Rubik coming.
Yeah, just like at that point too, like Phobos is forced to actually be pushed off the bottom lane. Rabbit tried to get really aggressive by coming in with a double level up in Rocket Barrage and just trying to force him away. So at least now Rabbit's got a lot of space with that Gyrocopter to catch up to the Chaos Knight on the bottom lane at least. Because the ZK sitting up here, Eldon's happy as Larry. 21 for 10 right now on this Chaos Knight. Like, he can have his choice of items, and is this even the one of these games too where you look for the early armor on the CK, or do you want to see him build more like earlier stat items, the drums, the treads, that kind of jazz?
I kind of prefer if he would go for the early stat items, like even going for something like an SNY, just because I think it'd be better suited than, say, the armlet. Like, there's a lot of different things that slow tick through. Like, you've got the acid, you've got the rocket brush. Like, it's going to be pretty hard to armlet toggle.
Could be a little bit of trouble right now for Lua. Just getting chipped down around a little bit. God needs a little bit more mana. Can't really blink in forward, and actually Snowball protection. Now they can start off with a Shadow Strike, and they Reality Rift him back. But on the other side of the shards, they actually isolate him off. Lil will miss the stun, but Queen of Pain still there with a screen to ensure that Virtus Pro take the first blood.
And that's huge right now for the Queen of Pain to be able to rotate in, get that kill. This Bounty Hunter wasn't actually doing too much, and FNG's trying to create space, but with that Sentry down in mid lane, and he's trying to gank an Alchemist who is playing naturally defensively, he just had to accomplish something.
Yep.
And I think with G getting this kill, what this is going to lead to as well is that he can eventually go and be a little bit more active because he has that kill net worth advantage, meaning that he can eventually leave this mid lane for the Bounty Hunter. Or even the Phoenix at some point, because the Phoenix is... You need to hit levels with this hero. Like, you can't just be like a level 4 Phoenix without dive. He's actually doing really well right now, and this might prompt...
Yeah, Rabbit's coming over, like King J's here too, but the sentry ward is revealing the fact that Bounty Hunter's moving up to King J. He's been slowed down by the 3 Vulls which were attacking him directly, and now IG loses the vision, but with the aggressive sideway, Chuan in the perfect position to pick up Phobos, drag him back. The Shards will ensure that Phobos has to stick around for the Fade Bolt kill. Bounty hasn't managed to find anything else, but now he realizes he's visible. The sentry ward is here. I don't think there's a way out for FNG as Bounty Hunter takes a full rocket barrage, and they do find the kill. Chuan picking up a double kill as this support Rubik.
Takes 4, but I mean it's well worth it to be able to isolate both the Bounty Hunter, who's struggling pretty hard right now. He's only level 2, he doesn't have boots, he's only got that Orb of Venom and that Observer Ward right now, and I mean, I think he didn't know that it was there originally just because of the way that he was positioned around the map. He just like
he only knew after he got himself caught up in the camp.
Yeah, and he had no idea that it was actually like he was just moving further into it onto the right. Like if he had actually just gone up and around, he might have been okay, but pretty unfortunate death, and this is going to help out. Luckily for him, he was only level 2, so in terms of XP and net worth, he doesn't give up anything. That's the one positive side of things, but it does help alleviate the pressure in this bottom lane for IG.
Yeah, because it also allowed Rabbit to pick into these phase boots, so his harassment into Phobos is even better now, and the control from Phobos becomes a little bit worse too. But they put a ward down on bottom lane, so Phobos has a little bit more protection now. It's away from the sentry ward, so they know they're going to be able to keep this ward up for a very long time.
Yeah, there's no way that anybody from IG knows. King J is just focusing on getting his own levels, and FNG's pretty committed to trying to at least split the XP and just harass. He knows there's no sentries down here anymore, so he should feel pretty comfortable with this harass. You just want to keep them on the toes and make sure that the Dazzle's sitting there, because in case they go for a mid dive, they want to make sure that the Dazzle can't really get there in time, or his focus is shifted to other things.
I want to ask you about something. We saw it early today from Puppy. The panel also touched on it a little bit as well, but how successful it can be. What is this Leshrac meant to do? We might have to come back to it in a moment, but because we have a smoke gank moving up from the rest of Invictus Gaming. But I just really want to like hatch to that a little bit later on. What is the purpose of this support Leshrac?
This is like that C-Deck style where they rotate the carry early on to make sure that they get the defense off, and Illidan has no idea that this is coming right now.
No, he gets locked in. The Shards keep him here. Lil actually took so much damage from the tower, he almost dies TPing out on the other side of the tree line. They have no way to get vision around that tree line, so they let the Leshrac go, and IG now 3-1 on the kill count.
I mean, I was struggling for answers as to what Luo was going to do for farm or levels at some point, but being able to bring your entire posse over and nail a kill on the carry is a pretty successful way to get some levels.
Yep. Especially if they can get a little bit more out of this. Like, it's not really the greatest tower pushing lineup, but they can clean out the creep wave pretty quickly. Rabbit's already used the flat cannon charges. And with the Dazzle heal bomb too, they can get through this fairly quickly, and maybe this almost forces a rotation from VP, because what are VP going to do? Push with the Phoenix?
And this is kind of the strength of the Gyrocopter and what it's always been since TI, when Aggressive just found the style where you bring the safe lane Gyro over, he can TP really early on, get aggressive, and yeah, it was nerfed. Like, Call Down went from being incredibly OP to just being like a really good spell. Same with Rocket Barrage. Yeah, like the hero can still do the same things. Nobody wants to challenge him because the Call Down cooldown is so low. Like, even at level 1, it's 55 seconds. Like, you approach a fight at top, even with your CK, you know it's going to be up. You don't want to risk a fight against Rocket Barrage and Call Down maxed out. So you just give it up, and that's the strength of this lineup.
And I really nice here for VP. They're able to find the stack of Invictus game, but IG, they're moving over. They have an Observer Ward that was watching Lil as well as Phobos coming over to steal this. There's still 2 big Centaurs left. Ferrari will take one of them. In fact, he'll take the last 3 out of that camp with the golden money. But Phobos and Lil at least were able to leech out a little bit more. So now you got a Leshrac up at level 5.5, and Phobos who's 6.5. He's got that Nova up and running.
Yeah, what's going to matter for me the most, Toby, is just if FNG can get some levels, if you can get level 6 at a reasonable time, and they do have enough team fight. Like, CK is one of those heroes that is kind of underrated in the sense that it's really hard to take this hero down. I guess the Gyrocopter's an okay way to deal with him, but that's when he was isolated out alone against 4 heroes.
Yeah.
But when it comes like to team fight time, this is a really incredibly tanky hero that has a large amount of team fight spells.
Is that when you look towards Ferrari to not build up like Aghanim etc. upgrades for the rest of his teammates, but maybe build into that earlier Assault Cuirass and give that team fight like balanced back the way of IG?
Oh, definitely. At some point, you're 100% going to build that item. Like, armor is something that Alchemist sorely lacks.
It's just when he does it, because right now he's walking around with just a casual Vit booster and basic boots.
What was your question about the Leshrac?
What was the purpose of him? Like, Is he just meant to be this casual support? Like, you've gone for the 3-0-2-1 build now. Like, is he just that guy that sits on the back lines? Like, why pick a Leshrac over something else, like what IG have with like the Rubik and the Dazzle?
It pairs well with the CK. That's a kill combination for sure, and that's really important to have lanes that are just like straight up kill combinations. Like back then in Dota 1, if you remember, was like the Jug Lich or something like that, or the Sven Lina.
Yep.
Like, anything that pairs well like that just kind of naturally makes sense. And it's also damage. Like they just need somebody to be able to throw out damage so that the attention is shifted from the Phoenix in team fights. And Lesh is a really good way. Like I would not be surprised if Lil just died a bunch this game, but it would be okay as long as they get the egg off every time.
Okay. Ferrari's just pulling in so much money. It's not high up on the Greevil's greed, it's just the fact he's able to use this buffed up acid spray to take out a very big ancient stack. And this is very early on. He's already over 5,000 in the net worth, and he has exceeded that of the Queen of Pain, who's only got 1 kill to a name, no deaths, but 75 CS is there for the Quap. So it's like, it hasn't been a bad game at all for God. It's just Alchemist things.
I mean, you kind of naturally expect this out of an Alchemist, because yeah, you get more gold because of Greevil's Creed and, you know, like the 700 gold bounty rune or whatever, but at the end of the day, you're still kind of stuck playing Alchemist.
Yeah.
Like that's what Ice Frog did. He's like, to make this hero kind of bearable and fun to play, I'm just gonna give you like a huge lead to start the game.
Well, he's got 2.6k. Like, what do you even do with this? Like, I know he's been experimenting around with DK as well as Beastmaster as the mid lane solos for Ferrari. I say experimenting, it's still very stable. But do you almost look at it from the same angle? Do you try and get aggressive down here? And go into something more like the Blink Dagger, or go for a early Shadow Blade initiation for an Unstable Concoction.
Oh, this would be okay, but
that's a good 3-second stun. Ferrari, he's got the concoction up, able to hit into Illidan. The shards of Snowball are coming in. Now keep Illidan in place. It's a little bit longer for the Rocket Rush, but the Sonic Wave is perfectly from God. The Tuskar will pop a Ferrari. He's just still so tanky. And with the Haze Drone, he's retreating back out. The Nova Egg is down. This time Rabbit, he's caught in melee range. He might still get stunned up by this one. Actually being blocked down with the slow from Lil. He doesn't get hit, but he can't run back out of here. They turn back in for the Rocket Barrage. Boss will die, and Sean now trying to go one-on-one with support, but God returns to battle, picking up God and throwing him back. But 4 heroes down for IG. Ferrari, the only man surviving a little bit further down, diving in behind the tree line. VP getting the better trade-off in the fight.
And that's exactly what I was talking about. You have the Phoenix Egg, sure, but then you have the Leshrac to ensure that nobody really gets close to it. So it's just, you know, he sparkles around the map, does a ton of damage. The Phoenix, nobody wants to get near that egg either. It just kind of synergizes pretty well, and it's a backup function for your CK, and it just gives you an added disable. Unfortunately for them, FNG wasn't level 6. Like, if he was level 6, that would have been such a dominant fight. He gets 2 or 3 tracks off in that fight. Maybe they can just kind of snowball into a lead, but unfortunately he's still level 5, and this just comes down to that early laning phase where they were able to catch him out with that sentry.
Man, I actually can't believe with the communication, like Rabbit was actually right on top of it. I think he backed up to get closer to the Dazzle so he could be shallow grave to potentially survive the engagement, but he could have stuck around and continued to beat into that egg and just use the shallow grave as the way to stay there.
Man, Rocket Barrage is so unbelievable though, as an ability still. Like, if you notice, the Phoenix had full HP, Rabbit had like 100 health, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna dive on top of you. He's like, alright, I'm dead.
Mistakes were made. Our abilities were underestimated. IG again, they tried this a couple of minutes ago to try and attack into the tower, and what they're going to find is an Invis Bounty Hunter. I say find, the dust doesn't trigger, the shards will fly over, but you're still back inside that Ghost Walk for the Bounty Hunter.
They've got to get out.
Do you even get out at this point? Like, you just blew smoke, can you at least take the tier 1 tower?
Yeah, you just try to get out of the jungle though, because you don't want to be able to fight under tracks or anything like that.
Yep.
And once, I think it's like, if they get hit by like 2 tracks, I think IG is just going to be a little bit more hesitant to go in. There's no way that you want to fight when you're like 4 heroes tracked up. That could just mean the game.
Yeah. So much money, so much momentum for VP. And you give momentum over to a player like God. Like the panel was saying it before, this guy picks up a hell of a lot of kills in the early stages of the game, and right now he's limited to 1. He would love to have a lot more than this. And the Orchid will allow him to do so, but he still needs a little bit more money to complete such a thing.
Yeah, the Orchid's going to help a lot, just being able to isolate supports out, and make sure that IG have to play this 5-man style, which is good and bad against the Bounty Hunter. Like, you want to be able to be grouped up in case the Bounty Hunter's there, so you can just straight up kill him, but at the same time, you never want to get into engagement where you're just tracked up, and that's why, you know, they wanted to kind of threaten mid, and then 2 heroes got tracked up, and they kind of rethought it, and they're like, do we really want to go for this push?
VP, they have the perfect observer ward inside the lane that IG have not counted out. Now they've got a choice. Ferrari is halfway through his chemical rage, but he sees Chuan. In fact, there's your jump in. Big Sonic Wave with the dive. They go into the Nova. IG, they're getting wiped in the mid until Rabbit comes in with a call out. VP, such a quick return of damage. Phobos might be back, but Chuan, he actually stole Nova. He's coming in. In fact, Phobos will force him to use it by Icarus diving in. Lil still wants to run out of here, but Rabbit, he's trapped in the tree line. Look at the 2 seconds on off, but Ilton taking so much damage till he has to bring in more of himself with that reality rift. He's still very, very low, but they'll get back out. Ferrari on the run back out. 2 more seconds till Chemical Rage comes back off cooldown. He didn't have it that entire fight, and now VPC are being pumped, and they will be retreating. 8-8, that looked like it was going to be a disaster for IG until all of a sudden, Rabbit.
Yeah, again, the rocket barrage is so strong, and Alchemist, when he does have the chemical rage up, it's pretty hard to kill him. Like, there's no way that VP can really commit anymore. Chuan somehow steals the supernova, which, like, shouldn't be possible whatsoever, but still manages to do so. And
what do you think about this on Alchemist, man? It's a Radiance build for the Alchemist.
okay, that kind of helps to explain why he was saving up so much money.
Yep.
Going for the Vid Booster just naturally makes him a little bit more tanky and gives him some base HP to work with. But by going for the Radiance, this is a core that you really have to deal with now. And it's one that can actually just like walk into the middle of the fight and deal a lot of damage.
Yeah.
Like Queen of Pain does not want to be around that. With her low HP pull,
you want to jump into Acid Spray as well as Radiance and then potentially deal with cooldown in the middle of a fight. It's like VP are starting the fight at 3/4 health.
Exactly, and Chaos Knight does decide to go for the Armlet, and it helps his illusion so much, but at the same time, like, you're going to have to deal with a Radiance Alchemist now, and just Armlet toggling is not going to be a thing anymore, and I feel like that's part of it. That's one of the great strengths of Armlet, obviously. But you have to be pretty careful right now. You still don't want to push directly into a bunch of tracks. Yep. And there's no reason not to wait for the Radiance, like bare minimum. And Ferrari's actually hiding it. But they have to be wondering at some point. Like VP have to think to themselves, what is he actually going for? Because he hasn't bought a new item in the last 10 minutes.
Yeah. Well, they'll see it on him soon. Like, the only other well, there is no other option. Like, if it was going to be a Blink Dagger, he would have bought it already. So they have to work out it's going to be a Radiance. I was going to flag for VP that finally they've actually done something about the Ancient stack. But by throwing down this Sentry ward they've got here, it's not visible. There's a ward to the south as well as to the north of it, and both Sentry wards do not cover over that dire Sentry. So IG, they've already committed 200 gold and they can't even deward their Ancients. They have to wait it out.
Yeah. That's a pretty obvious spot too. They just missed it.
Yeah. They try to get a little bit too clever with it almost. So you actually get like a lane D ward.
Everyone's gotten so good at warding that you just like revert back to the old wards that used to be considered really bad.
Yep.
It's the next level mind game.
But also the ward positioning, like, yeah, you miss out on the Ancient stack, but this ward positioning is going to let them find the Bounty Hunter in the river too. I think that's the reason why they want to push it up a little bit further north. It gives you something against FNG.
Yeah. And IG down a little bit over 1,000 gold right now, and that's on the heels of just like the next 3 cores are doing really well. Lil's doing really well, and Lil's just had such a rough game so far.
Now this Radiance is up. Can IG, IG gonna smoke themselves in the mid lane. Now this was not scouted out by Virtus Pro. There is the track over on Rabbit, but the other heroes are not currently visible.
They're gonna notice the Radiance here real quick, and the Orchid is finished on the Queen of Pain. If she can get that on either the Dazzle or the Alchemist before his ultimate, that could be huge.
Can they even have time to fight this?
Okay,
well,
take this fight.
When you start the reality ripping at a 4-second stun, that's going to help with the snowball protection is there, and now it can actually turn it back in. Phobos going for the dive, but where is this Nova as well? Way back next to that Tier 1 tower, and Ferrari's just going to walk back out of here. He might get stunned up, but he's still very, very tanky. The Shallow Grave is there, and with a call down, oh my! FNG did not want to walk himself into the middle of that, giving Rabbit now a double kill. They're burst healing back up as well as taking this Tier 1 tower.
I mean, Chuan stealing the Chaos Bolt and just immediately reversing a 4-second stun was absolutely pivotal in that fight. Ferrari was the target for the most part. He just front-lined it, but he's so difficult to kill. The Radiance mischance, his natural regen, he had his ultimate going the entire time. Yep, the Queen of Pain Orchid was unable to do anything, and your 2 frontliners were a Bounty Hunter who's level 7 that only has a wand when it comes to tankiness, and a CK that just immediately got 4-second stunned.
even if you want to have a crack at it, the fact that Tuskar was there almost instantly to save Ferrari, like you use your initiations and that Tuskar's there to make it so the initiation doesn't work, and we could actually have a look at it again. There's the 4-second stun, and then instantly picked him up and just returned it. And there was nothing Illidan could do. He was locked inside the fingers of Rubik with the telekinesis.
Yeah, Illidan was just going to go for the stun and then immediately go for the Phantasm, but I mean, everything was just done in such a good order.
And such a great fight for IG, and they're getting them back-to-back now, which is allowing Jaro as well as the Alchemist to move up as the number 1 and number 2 net worth positions on the field.
Yeah, and this is so huge for the Alchemist right now because he's purely built for the late game. Like, he doesn't have any of those side items like the Solar Crest,
yep.
And his farm item just happens to be a Radiance, which obviously got buffed in terms of the cost. And against a lineup like VP's where you don't really have like the best ultra late game and you have to deal with a hero like this, it's going to be pretty rough.
I'm actually wondering too, like, are we like, because you never really cap out on the IG side. Like, you keep giving Ferrari more money, he keeps buying Aghanim Scepters for everyone else. Rubik, Dazzle, Tuskar, Jaro, they all have upgradable Aghanim Scepter ultimates.
It's like half of those are like the worst Ags upgrades.
Yeah, they really are. But
you've got the Tuskar kick, which is just like the most underwhelming thing in the entire world. And then you've got the Gyrocopter, the global call down.
Yeah. The Rubik one is good though.
Yeah, the Rubik one is good.
The Rubik one is fantastic.
I didn't mean to shut you down like that. Alright, so the Rubik still has the Chaos Bolt. That's probably one of the better abilities that he can steal. I still don't know how Chuan stole the egg. And if you could get something like the track, that'd be amazing.
He came up from the high ground. Like, when they were fighting in the mid, he was up in the fog of war. So, Phobos didn't know where Chuan was positioning-wise.
Okay, that makes sense.
That was the reason why
you should still almost always just pop the Fire Spirits, because it has no animation. Like,
yep.
It shouldn't really be stealable, but IG, they're grouped up. They understand that they're incredibly strong right now. Like, the Alchemist can't really be touched. He's even turned off his Radiance right now with this Invis Rune.
Don't give up a single sign. Illidan right now, there's a big sign of him dying. He's going to Phantasm up, but that Rock is still going to focus on the real one. The cooldown, making it difficult for Illidan to get out until Phobos throws on the Sunray Rabbit. Just wants to try and turn himself out of this. There are 2 tracks up. The third one's over on a Rubik Illusion, so we're not going to count that one. But Ferrari, he's standing in, he's actually blocking in FNG. FNG is hitting an invisible wall, but Ferrari's lost vision now of the Bounty Hunter. Now they can come out with a new rocket down, and hello Ferrari, can he get this done up? They need that detection. They had both sentries as well as dust available. God, the Nova is up in a really good position. They have to walk up. Have they actually got the kill? They can't actually attack into it. Now they can, but it's too late. Phobos gets the pop. They come down. Let the Shuriken toss bounce around. Luo kept alive by the shallow grave. They're still burning down the Fire Spirits, but not enough to find themselves a kill. They actually stay alive for this. They get the kill on the Queen of Pain, and they survive underneath the Nova.
I really thought they were almost going to be able to burst down a few heroes there, but they just didn't have enough, and then it was such a weird commitment because IG decided to go for the egg. They weren't able to get it, but VP just doesn't have enough in the way of team fight, especially when the Chaos Link's the hero that gets opened up on. He was at like 500 HP to start that fight. There's no way that he's going to re-engage there, even with that egg.
Yep. Ferrari. I was wondering if he was just going to go directly into tank and they just turn this into a 5-man battle, but he goes for the BTs instead. So finally upgrading those treads into something else.
He's building really late game right now. Like, all of these items are items that you would want in the late game.
You just wait.
You can turn that.
You wait for the heart, the
exactly.
AC later, and then what else do you even want as an Alchemist?
BKB for sure, at some point.
Yeah.
And right now,
unless he feels he can just tank through everything. Yeah, they jumped in. God actually blinked forward, which will allow the Alchemist to fly, but he'll actually set himself up 4 seconds on Illidan. I don't know what happened just there. King J couldn't help him. He ended up being just an inch too far away to let the shallow grave go, and he'll try and TP himself out in time, and he is successful. No stuns.
Oh no, FNG played it a little bit greedy. He was hoping to run into other heroes,
and he's gonna get punished for it. Underneath the sentry ward, perfectly visible, and IG just slap him down.
That was just going for a little bit too much and trying to be a little bit over aggressive. I think just isolate the kill on the Dazzle. That's free track money regardless. I think he just assumed that his team had that, or somebody would have a disable to back that up. Yeah, but they used it all just to get that kill on Ferrari.
I also, I was wondering what Ferrari was doing. Like, he saw them coming in throughout the concoction. It must have been, like, the Queen of Pain blinking forward. Like, this is instantly a kill. And then the rest of them turned up. He's like, okay, I regret my decision.
But even then, he was always going to get orchided.
Yeah.
I think Ferrari just got a little bit too happy and excited. He's like, oh, that Queen of Pain just wasted blink. And he's like, okay, I just got orchided.
And maybe that brings up the question mark. Does Ferrari now just go directly into the BKB next? Like, don't go for the tanky items anymore. You've still got your Vit Booster and your Chemical Rage.
Yeah, especially if they keep controlling the CK like they have been this entire time. Like, the Chaos Knight hasn't really been a factor for physical damage, and Ferrari hasn't really been forced into getting into a one-on-one fight with him so far. So maybe just going to go for being able to break the Orchid and just not get stunned.
That's one way to do it.
He can still get bursted down pretty quickly just by the Queen of Pain if he gets the Orchid off before that Chemical Rage. Like, we saw that at bottom. Like, he had the Chemical Rage go off, and he still got bursted down so quickly.
Yeah, that's when the Dazzle needs to be, like you said, he's positional style hero in the right position to try and save Ferrari, especially if they're going to use him as such a tank.
Exactly, and Ferrari's not building a blink or anything like that, so if you're not going to go for the blink, then there's no way that you're going to get the stun off in the middle of the fight.
This still really feels like a 5-man walk forward from IG. Like, if you're going to initiate with anyone, it was going to be with the Tuskar, but Tuskar is currently building into, like, Greaves kind of style.
Light.
Yeah, that Tusk is not very farmed. He's behind the 4 position Leshrac this game. He's been falling pretty far behind, but luckily for IG, it doesn't quite matter because the CK is just as poor right now in relative net worth. Like, he's behind the Queen of Pain pretty significantly, and he's just above his Phoenix, who had such a hard laning phase.
And it's funny though, because like you talk about the CK being in such a bad position, but I'm also looking at Lil walking around with a rod of Atos, like, and a level 11 Leshrac. Like, he's still got a lot to work with as this support, a lot more than what like Rubik and Dazzle will bring as far as damage and control out to the fight. Yeah. And maybe not Chorn, maybe not the Rubik. Especially as Chorn's is 25 gold away from Blink.
Yeah, this Rod of Atos helps so much, though, against cores that, for example, the Gyrocopter, once he starts to lose those BKB charges, it's going to really help you isolate him and catch up. It helps a lot against the Alchemist, just because you can kite him pretty much infinitely.
Yep.
And this is just more arguments for Ferrari to eventually build into the BKB.
Rabbit? Do they have enough? No, they don't have anywhere near enough control, not while he's walking around with that BKB. That's that blink I was waiting for over on Rubik. Now, he actually bought that back at base, so it's flying out in the courier to himself. Didn't get it from the side shop this time around. So it's not already there yet. And this is... Oh, she's not even slowing down the push. Chuan's still confident enough he can just sit in the front lines. Gets tracked up, doesn't care.
Of all the heroes that are just like standing in the front, it's Tron.
Yep. Probably the weakest of them all. But don't worry, he's got King J behind him, and King J, the stand-in Chuan, that blink forward, catch that FNG, the shards are flying into, and the perfect dust timing. Chuan, it was just the next level, it was the bait. He saw the crocodile tears, and VP took sympathy.
He's so fast. He knew that FNG was going to be there just to try to slow them down by track, and hope that IG wasn't going to force the fight, but he instantly realized, he's like, okay, FNG is going to be there still, just blink forward, go for the YOLO dust.
And this is why I was having a lot more confidence of IG coming into this competition, where you just see the way they're synergized and the way they're moving, even with like their coach standing in for Super, they're still finding this great initiation. They come in with a plan. It may not be the cleanest, most stable, saying this is going to work, like Ferrari. He's in real trouble in the mid. It's the one charge, just can't keep him up. Chuan actually jumps back in, returns the Sonic Wave, almost kicking off God, and he'll lose his life with this one, and actually give a double kill over to Illidan. I'm sorry, Castus Curse just hit IG. They just got nailed.
That was way too over-aggressive. Like, we've been talking about this entire time. Like, Ferrari is pretty tanky, but yep, I mean, you still need something to break that Orchid.
It's just one of those situations where I really just want to eat my words when I said about them now. It's like, I really thought they'll be nice and tight. Like, you know, one little slip up of Ferrari on the bottom lane where he got really over-aggressive when Quat blinked in. And now, a very similar thing ends up happening here in the mid lane, and VP get a double kill rewarded into a Chaos Knight. And that's the first 2 kills of Illidan. That's the first time he's managed to find a kill in 28 minutes. And he's just rewarding himself. He's got his drums, he's got his Yasha now, probably going to build into that full S&Y. And just have a great old time.
Even going for the Manta at this point, I would actually maybe like the Manta a little bit more.
Just so you got so many Chaos Knights, and what were you looking to dodge as well? Or
just being able to make sure that you make it harder for the Rubik to isolate which one it is. So when he tries to spell steal, it becomes a little bit more confusing, and the Chaos Knight can just be a little bit more aggressive.
Or force the Rubik onto a different target instead.
Yeah, I don't know why I said S&Y early on. I'm just so used to that item being built, but I forgot that Manta got a pretty big
with the
buff.
Chinese teams, man, like they still do it. Like they were doing it during the qualifiers. You're right, with the new patch, maybe it gets changed around, but they were still happy to build 32-minute SMYs. And on any hero. Bottom lane, God, well, okay, he just explodes in the bottom lane to a 4-man gank from Invictus Gaming.
It's actually going to be the Manta style for Ferrari. That's going to be what is going to be his choice for breaking the Queen of Pain Orchid.
Instead of the BKB?
I think it's still a little bit greedy, but I guess he just wants to be able to deal damage at the same time and make sure that he can't really get kited down. It gives him some move speed to work with, better stats, but in my opinion, I just think I like BKB as an item overall. I think that item's just amazing.
IG, I think they're just poking the beast. They have no intention to kill him. If they're like trying to force a rotation for VP, if they have vision. Lil actually starting up the Edict. I don't think he feels safe here, and he shouldn't either. Chuan's gonna pick him up. Actually ends up stealing the Diabolic Edict, but he gets stunned up by Lil. Then Lua get enough control. They got the mech charge as well. Chuan, he lives through it. Barely. Almost dropping down. He was sub 40 HP. So they get the kill over on the support Leshrac, who is still fairly farmed. He's actually building into a full Scythe of Vice as well. After killing off the Queen of Pain on bottom lane, so 2 good kills for IG in just a couple of minutes.
Oh, that was so brutal. He was so close to killing Chuan. Like that, I think the mech came in, and at the same time, like his Edict just faded right before Chuan dies. It's pretty unfortunate, but that was still a pretty greedy position for Lil to be in. But I understand why he did it. He was pretty certain that IG was going to go for the Roshan, and he just wanted to make sure that he could force people back. So it's just a positional thing.
It's a trap. It's such a trap. FNG, they actually pick him up and throw him back in again. Chuan has a gem on him, and this bounty hunter has now found no place to hide, at least in visible places. 16 to 11 as IG, well, they do have the man advantage for another 27 seconds. It looks like they're going to come up.
Without a Force Staff or a Blink Dagger or anything like that, FNG is just getting caught over and over again. They've got the gem. They're just playing a really patient game. And if you notice, Toby, they're just making absolute sure that he's not getting any track kills off. Yep, like they never commit when track is up. They make sure that FNG dies first, and then they go for the pushes.
It's just so smart. In comes now. Phobos needs to get that Nova off, dropping low. Now he'll do it, but he's right in the middle of both Lua and Rabbit. They burn through the Supernova, and they've already managed to find a couple of kills. They're going to make it a couple more as Illidan will drop. That's 3 players down for Virtus Pro. No Phoenix and Leshrac for 50 seconds. The Chaos Knight does have buyback available, but now track is stolen by Chuan. He turns it into the Bounty Hunter, so they got perfect vision on him twice over, and the melee ranks will be taken by IG. They're not going to stick around for the range ranks. They already got what they came for. That creep wave's going to basically melt as he leaves the man to like radiance burning illusions behind. VP cannot chase.
Honestly, Chuan's just had such a ridiculous game. Like the amount of abilities that he's been able to steal. Now he gets the track, which was VP's comeback mechanic, and now it's IG's way of getting even further ahead at this point. And IG, I mean, they just kind of casually walk in there, take the racks. They don't even care because the CK isn't very tanky. The Queen of Pain has the BKB now, but even then you don't really want to frontline with her. And with all those BKBs available, the Phoenix deck just doesn't really do a whole lot because IG just hard commits for it.
And IG will be able to commit even more. Like Ferrari is only a couple hundred gold away. In fact, I believe he's actually finished the full heart now. So 32-minute heart coming in for the Alchemist. You get the Glimmer Cape over on the Dazzle. So King J's got ways for them to get back out again. Chuan doesn't need any Alchemist help in this game. He is not far off. Like, we're looking like, what's that, 1600 gold away from having his full Aghanim Scepter over on the Rubik. He's already having such a huge impact in the fight. The only person that hasn't really changed much is Luo, and that's going to change because he just picked up his Greaves and Blink Dagger. So IG now have jump initiation, the one thing they've failed to have for the last 32 minutes, but still managed to claim a Rax.
Honestly, it's just because they've been having such patient, smart play. Like, they make sure, again, if they find FNG, they kill him. Then they continue to go for the push because they know that there's no track rebuttal. They know they can't really overextend at that point. Like, even if they lose the fight at that point, if there's no track to back them up, I mean, IG's going to feel perfectly safe with that type of trade.
Yep.
And at the same time, I mean, this is exactly what you want out of your support. Like, the Dazzle has only died twice this game. He's done a really good job of backing everybody up with the Grave. Chuan's had just game impact after game impact. Like, that win, that one team fight in mid where he steals the CK Bolt and then he RNGs the 4-second stun.
That really is one of the turning point moments right there for VP.
And Illidan just has to be so frustrated overall with how this game's gone.
Well, you can't even ask him to do anything. Like, he's up against like a Radiance Burning Alchemist, so he knows he can't out DPS, and he knows he can't armlet toggle under. So what are you meant to do as CK?
This is kind of the issue though, is like, he fires off like one spell after another quite slowly, and then after that, Chuan just, you know, steals the stun. It's really easy to steal.
Yep.
Immediately turns it around on him, and this might prompt Illidan to have to use the Phantasm a little bit earlier than he wants, just to initiate with the fight, because he absolutely has to get it off for them to have any chance of winning the fight.
You're hoping for the chaos factor, right? So Chuan doesn't know who to actually like steal from.
It's more just that every single time he enters the fight, he just gets blown up immediately before he can get anything off.
Okay.
And you don't want to just enter a fight with like 400 HP, then your illusions don't have any tank ability because the gyro focus fire just immediately kills them all.
Mm-hmm. Well, Phobos, this time he'll have a guaranteed Nova, that BKB. 9 seconds on the duration, but he's starting to burn away a Ferrari, but Ferrari doesn't care. Okay, now he might. He's down to half of his life. They need some help to come in. The call out is there from Rabbit with his BKB. A 3 second stun on Ferrari, and they couldn't get in range. King J was not in range for the shallow grave, but a main on that because the Jaracop, the Rabbit with a double kill. They move back out of range of Phobos' ultimate, and Sean blinks forward with the target. He's grabber. She's throwing him back around. A triple kill for Rabbit. The control was perfect from Sean, and the game is IG's. They'll take game 1 here in this best of 3 quarterfinal for ESL 1 Virtus Pro. And I just feel like they got outweighted by IG. The patience was solid.
I mean, before the series, you were actually like one of the few people that was like, okay, I really believe in IG. I think they're going to be able to pull this together. They play such a stable style, and this was exactly what they did. Like, they were incredibly patient. I really want to highlight the fact that every single time is like, okay, let's kill FNG first, then we go for the push. Just smart, patient play. They made sure they never overextended. They just took objective after objective.